Do not, I repeat, do not trust your heart with a man who won't tell you anything about his past. I was in my 50s, late 50s, met a guy through a singles group online. We ended up talking on the phone. And at first, he was, saying he wasn't looking for a wife. At that time in his life, he was working on some classes to get a certificate and some other things that he was working on business-wise and career-wise, which was fine because I wasn't there like that with him. We were just getting to know each other because we ended up talking based on some type of business that I was doing. But in getting to know each other, one thing I did notice about him was that he talked kind of strong sometimes. He was a Southern man with that little tough talking sometimes, get a little in his voice a little bit sometimes. And so I took note of that. And so that was already, I won't call it a red flag, but it was like, because ain't nobody going, I'm not going, I asked God for a kind-hearted man. A kind-hearted man, a gentleman, a man who's kind to me and talks nice to me. I don't want to get yelled at, cussed at, and all that kind of stuff. But in talking to each other, we come to find out he had been married 3 times. The natural question I think any woman would want to know from a guy who's been married 3 times or even once: what did you learn? How have you grown any? Did you learn anything from the marriage? And what I asked him was your picker broken? And I got that question from this show from years ago, The Millionaire Matchmaker. So when people would talk to her about, how many times they've tried and things like that and how things broke up, she said, I think your picker's broken. And basically she would talk to them and help them to get to the bottom of why they kept choosing people to be in relationships with, and those relationships always ended, in a way that when they wanted them to last, right? So I said, well, was your picker broken? And he thought I was saying his pecker. I said, no, not your pecker, your picker. Ain't nothing wrong with my picker or my pecker. Okay, sir. But was your picker broken? Were you choosing women for, for the wrong reasons? Or did you learn anything about how you were choosing women? And he did not give me an answer. He talked for 5 minutes about it's not important to dwell on the past or, think about, who I was back then because I'm a different person now. But what he didn't understand was for you to sit here and tell me that you're a different person now, I don't know how different you are because you won't even tell me anything about who you were through those first 3 marriages. So you could tell me anything about who you are now because you told me nothing about who you used to be. For all I know, with your little tough talking self, you could have been choking the shit out of folk. You could have been slapping folk, pushing them into the wall, calling them stupid, dumb. You could have been doing anything. And the fact that you refused to talk to me and tell me anything, you didn't even have to mention the women. You could have just said the mind frame that I was in when I got married the first time. I was young, I was this or that. Did you cheat? He didn't want to answer that either. Do you hit women? He didn't want to answer that either. And you think you're going to get my heart? I'm not trusting you with my heart. You can't be trusted with my heart, sir. And then I was talking to someone about the same thing. She married a man. She married her husband. But when they were dating, he was the same way. He refused to talk about his past. He refused to talk about his previous relationships. She married him. And guess what? That behavior carried over into the marriage. He disappears for hours at a time. And when he come back, he won't tell her where he's been, what he's been doing, who he was with. He just go do what he want to do, and then he come back, and it's like it ain't none of her business. Because she married him without getting that from him during the dating process. So since it was off limits when they were dating, guess what? Even deep into the marriage, years into the marriage, it's still off limits for her to ask him certain things about what he's doing, where he's going, who you're with, where were you the past 2, 3, 4 hours. That's not a man who should be trusted with your heart. And sometimes men like that think that just because they pay the bills, because a lot of times they're old-fashioned type men or old school type men, there are still men who feel like as long as I pay all the bills and take care of the house, I do what I want to do. And then a lot of times women will just say, just as long as you don't bring it home, like a disease or another chick or something like that. And they just settle into that lifestyle. But this guy, he's sitting there, he's just talking and talking about, it's just important to, what's important is who that person is today. I don't know who you are today. You might slap me when I talk too much, but I don't know, because you're hiding where you came from. Everybody should be able to look into their past, and if they've grown any, they should be able to tell you some way that they've grown from what they've been through. And if they refuse to say anything to you about where they come from, you don't know where he been. And you don't know where he going, even if it might be upside your head in the near future if you keep fooling with him. Don't give him no nookie, don't give him your heart. And you know what's strange about both of these men? It's not really strange. Both of them are pastors. Men of the cloth, sitting up in the pulpit, and you behaving like this. So I think that the world, America has fallen out of their crush with the preacher. I think our preachers have shown us enough in the past 2 to 3 years to know, honey, that ain't usually not what is cracked up to be that we imagine it to be. But these are two preachers, 2 elders in the church who are handling themselves like this and want to handle a woman like that. You ain't handling me. All your secrets, all them secrets? No. So again, do not, and I repeat, do not trust your heart. Don't even date him, because he'll probably have enough charm to melt your heart, to pull you in your emotions. I've said this in a few videos. Turn those emotions off and let your brain do the work. You got sense, but if you turn your emotions loose, them emotions will have you acting dumb as hell out here. And then next thing you know, you getting pent up in a corner with somebody choking the crap out of you and popping you upside your head because you were melted by his charisma. These men have a lot of charisma. And a lot of times that's what appeals to women. But that's because we allow our emotions to lead. Turn your emotions off. Put them heifers in the back seat. And don't let them take you nowhere else till you find out who you're dealing with. Do not trust a man with your heart who will not talk to you about his past.